Shana Tova. When anybody asked me this past year, how are you doing? I didn't always know how to answer. It took me a while, but I finally came up with a response. I'd look the person in the eye, there'd be lots of talking with my hands, and I'd say, thank God, my inner circle, my family at home, everyone is good. Then there's the rest of the world, and it's a mess. But my day-to-day, things are okay. How are you? In the past, I'd look for the easy answer. I'd just dismiss the question and move on. But I realized that if I want to be authentic, the truest answer is that we are complex humans with so many things happening at the same time. And this past year has been one existential, oh good Lord moment after another. It was a hard year to be Jewish. Anti-Semitism was and remains at an all-time high. The war against Iran and her proxies came to a head, and we are still experiencing the reverberations. We feel the pain of the Jewish people around the world and hear a constant whisper in the back of our minds, what bad news will come next? Even if our day-to-day feels relatively quiet, we all hold a deep awareness of what it means to be a Jew in America today. Tonight marks the literal turning point of our year as we welcome the Jewish New Year of 5786. The gates of repentance are open and we officially enter the days of awe. As Rabbi Laura Lieber writes, Rosh HaShanah is a time for starting fresh, for taking stock, and for identifying ways to be better, not ways to be perfect. For a precious few days, something deeply spiritual is available to us. The shofar sounds, and our souls are awakened to these moments for self-reflection and examination. It's a perfect night to ask ourselves, why be Jewish? And for our friends and family in the room supporting their Jewish spouse or raising Jewish kids, you're asking the question, why should I be part of the Jewish story? Whether we were born to one or two Jewish parents or converted later in life, everyone who wakes up and says, I am a Jew, makes an active choice. No one is forcing us to be Jewish, so why do we do it? It's not enough to say anymore, because it's what I know, because my parents were, because the Holocaust happened. These responses no longer pull us deep enough into our answer of why. The post-Holocaust mentality will not mean much to the next generations. Judaism can't exist only as a middle finger to the anti-Semite. The threat of Jewish extinction has brought a lot of people back to their Jewish identity. But it is not the reason we will continue to exist, and certainly not how we will thrive. We need a stronger response to the question, why be Jewish? So tonight I offer you a lesson I took from Sarah Hurwitz, author of the new book, As a Jew. To engage with Judaism is to know that when your spouse dies, or you're wrestling with a difficult ethical decision, or you're feeling lonely and your life is meaningless, it turns out that in those moments, you could really use a loving community and thousands of years of wisdom from your ancestors, and a Jewish cultural identity of Jewish mom jokes and matzo ball soup is of limited use when encountering the most serious challenges of being human. In other words, matzo ball soup may have brought us to the table or helped us get over a cold, but Judaism has so much more to offer. To be Jewish is to lean into a framework that will guide us into a richer, more meaningful life. And isn't that what we'd all like to find? But of course, there's a catch. Luckily, it's one we can overcome. We can say we're Jewish, but that identity won't impact our life unless we are out there making Jewish choices. We have to claim it, own it, and put it to use. As Sarah further teaches, each of us has the power to create the Judaism we wish to experience. But that requires us to show up to classes, services, and gatherings of all kinds, and to do some learning, questioning, and wrestling. To undertake this effort, we must first decide that there is something worth showing up for, something in which we're willing to invest our time, trust, and hope. The typical rabbi move in a sermon like this would be to now suggest 3 easy things you could do to add more Judaism to your life. But those easy actions won't generate the systemic change that we need to create long-lasting, impactful, meaningful, all the buzzwords full Jewish journeys. Instead, let me tell you about one of your fellow Temple Emanu-El congregants, whose name is Jamie. When Jamie joined Temple Emanu-El, she insisted we wouldn't see her around very much. She told us she wasn't very Jewish. Not only that, her parents died when she was young, and she was pretty much done with God. Her family had joined Temple Emanu-El because it was important to her husband that the kids be raised Jewish. In her first meeting with Rabbi Spike, he let her know it was okay to be angry with God, and that we are always encouraged to question and wonder. He was also the first rabbi who said to her, "If you ever want to talk, I'm here for you." Slowly, Jamie started to come around the synagogue. She popped in for a High Holy Day service and liked how it felt to be surrounded by her Jewish community. Not long after, someone asked her to be on the religious school committee. Okay, she thought, I'll just dip my toes in this whole synagogue thing. Then there was another illness in her family. She needed a place to steady herself when everything felt out of her control. So she started coming to Friday night services. She needed to pray and people to pray with. The sick family member recovered, but Jamie's routine continued because she realized that her relationship with Judaism, with God, and with our Jewish community had completely evolved. How did that happen? She just kept showing up. Why? Because it was the one outlet in her life that provided her a space to connect with something bigger than herself, and her Jewish journey was embraced. You can see her here most Friday nights and Sunday mornings. She serves on our board of trustees, received our Shirley Schiffer Volunteerism Award, spearheads Tribe, and is involved in countless other ways. Jamie found her why, so she invested the time in her how. People often tell me They don't have the time to engage more in Jewish life. Many of us would really like to do more Judaism, but we've convinced ourselves we're too busy. The thought of entering Jewish spaces also sends some of us into a panicky self-consciousness. Regarding the first, I get it. We've been sold by American culture that we have to achieve X, Y, and Z to succeed, and if we succeed, we'll feel fulfilled. But if we look at our calendars, we'll see that too much of our time is filled with line items that won't lead us to a more meaningful, connected, and beautiful life. So I'd like to challenge the "we're too busy" card that so many of us play. Because if we knew our why, we'd figure out the how. Recently, I was listening to an episode of Dan Senor's podcast, Call Me Back, focused on American Jewry. I must have stopped, rewound, and played one line 10 times. It was a quote from Jonathan Safran Foer's book, Here I Am. Jewish Americans will go to any length short of practicing Judaism to instill a sense of Jewish identity in their children. As uncomfortable as it might be to hear, there is a deep truth to his statement. We drop off kids for B'nai Mitzvah services, but don't stay to show them the Jewish value of being in community. We choose sports more times than we choose Sunday school. We skip celebrating a Jewish holiday at home or at synagogue because it's inconvenient. Every choice we make sends a message to our family. Tonight, we can make a new choice. We can show them that Judaism is worth making time for. Whether or not you have kids, want kids, or your kids are long grown, Jewish life occurs whether the kids are there or not. For American suburban Judaism, kids just happen to be one of the typical entry points, but it is not the only one. Real communal involvement is not for someone else. It is for each of us. We just have to show up. The best part? Engaging with Judaism feels amazing when we do it together. One of the most powerful communal experiences I've had as a rabbi happened at a Shabbat afternoon. And if you were here, you probably had the same feeling. It happened during Rabbi Spike and Marita's daughter Lulu's bat mitzvah. Every seat in the sanctuary was filled. And when it was time for the Baruch Hu, Rabbi Max, Jess, Lulu, and I turned around to face the ark. I heard the power of everyone's voices singing out, Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. I imagined a beam of light emanating from every person in the room, sending a powerful stream of positive energy and prayer into the world. I felt it so deeply. Why? Because everyone felt present. Our voices were united, and we were there for a higher purpose. Showing up for Lulu, for our community, for God. In one brief story, that is my why and my how for experiences that lead to a deeper, more connected Jewish life. I know that for many, feelings of embarrassment or intimidation are barriers of entry to an engaged Jewish life. We worry we will feel out of place if we show up alone. We worry we will do the wrong thing, say the wrong thing, or ask a silly question and face judgment. Whenever I have felt lost, I think back to a Talmudic story I learned years ago. A man is walking in the pitch black of night when he sees a blind man heading his way, carrying a torch. The first man asks the blind man, "Why are you carrying a torch when you cannot see the light?" The blind man replies, As long as I carry the torch, people can see me and help me. Tonight is the night for us all to pick up the torch. I promise your rabbis will be thrilled to see you present and to engage with you in your journey. Why be Jewish? Because it adds meaning to our lives. How do we do it? One foot in front of the other. Somewhere in this synagogue, there is a seat with your name on it. We're just waiting for you to come in and fill it. On this Rosh HaShanah, may the sound of the shofar awaken our why. And may our engagement with these days of awe give us the space to find our how. Then, when we gather next Rosh Hashanah, we will be able to reflect on the amazing Jewish journey and the amazing Jewish year we lived out together. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will.